Welcome back, besties. Let's continue from where we stopped in the last episode. She found photos of Soo-jin at society events, always in the background of images featuring her brother. Same delicate features, same dark eyes. But in the photos, she looked brittle, like porcelain held together by force of will. Maya's head spun. Had Min-jae known? All this time, had he known what she'd done? Her phone rang, making her jump. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. Hello, Miss Chun. A man's voice, unfamiliar, polite. Mr. Kong would like to speak with you. A car will collect you in 30 minutes. Please be ready. Wait, I didn't agree to. But the line had already gone dead. Maya sat frozen, staring at her phone. Every instinct screamed at her to refuse, to hide, to stay invisible. But curiosity, and a growing sense that she'd been living in a story without knowing the plot, made her move. She changed into clean clothes, checked on her sleeping father, and when the black Genesis sedan pulled up exactly 30 minutes later, she walked out to meet it. The drive to Gangnam's high-rise district took 15 minutes. The driver never spoke. Maya watched the city lights blur past, each kilometer taking her further from the world she understood. The building they arrived at was all glass and steel, the kind of architecture that made statements about power. The elevator required a keycard. They rose 60 floors in silence that made Maya's ears pop. The penthouse office was exactly what she'd expected. Minimalist, expensive, cold. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul's glittering sprawl. Everything was chrome and black leather and sharp edges. Except for the photograph on the desk. Soo-jin, laughing, young, alive. Wearing a silver necklace Maya recognized because she'd made it. A small bird pendant from scrap silver she'd given the girl as a parting gift, though Soo-jin had left before Maya could present it. She must have found it later. You didn't ask her name, Min-jae said from behind her. Maya turned. He stood by the windows, backlit by the city, still wearing that black coat like armor. When my sister came to your shop, freezing, running, clearly in trouble, you didn't ask who she was. You didn't ask who she was running from. You just helped. She needed help, Maya said simply. She was running from me. Min-jae's voice was flat, emotionless. I was trying to protect her. I'd arranged a marriage to a good man, someone who could give her security, keep her safe from the family business. She saw it as a cage. It was a cage, Maya shot back. She was 16. And terrified. She was my responsibility. For the first time, emotion cracked through his control. Something that looked like old pain. When she disappeared into that storm, I thought. He stopped, visibly collecting himself. I searched for 3 days. Every hospital, every shelter, every place she might have gone. I was about to expand the search to the morgues when she came home. He walked to his desk, picked up the photograph with careful hands. She wouldn't tell me where she'd been, but she wore this necklace. And when I had it traced, artisan silver, specific technique, only 3 shops in Seoul used those methods. I found you. Maya's mind reeled. That was 2 years ago. You've been watching me for 2 years. Protecting you, he corrected. You gave sanctuary to a Kong. That makes you valuable to my enemies. That makes you a target. So the protection money isn't protection money. Min-jae's eyes met hers, dark and unreadable. It's payment. I've been paying you, Miss Chin, for my sister's life. The debt I owe you. The room tilted. Maya grabbed the edge of his desk for balance. Then why the secrecy? Why not just talk to me? Why watch from cars like some kind of ghost? A bitter smile touched his mouth. Because getting close to people I owe makes them targets. Distance keeps you safe. Invisibility keeps you alive. In my world, Miss Chun, the kindest thing I can do for someone I care about is disappear. But you didn't disappear, Maya whispered. You've been there every month for 2 years. I never said I was good at staying away. The admission hung between them, heavy with meaning Maya wasn't sure she wanted to unpack. Park Jin-woo, Min-jae continued, his voice hardening again. He's Busan Syndicate. They've been trying to move into Gangnam for years, using an art gallery as a front, targeting artisans and small business owners, making alliances. When I saw him with you, you thought I was part of it. I thought you were in danger. His hands clenched into fists. I thought they'd found out about Soo-jin, about my debt to you, and were using it. Using you. Maya's anger surged back. You don't get to decide what dangers I face. You don't get to make choices about my safety without my knowledge. I'm not your sister. I'm not your responsibility. I'm not. You're the woman who saved my sister's life without asking for anything in return. Minjae interrupted, his voice suddenly intense. You're the woman who's paid protection money to a ghost for 3 years without complaint. You're the woman who keeps her father alive on skill and stubbornness while your own art dies. He stopped abruptly, as if surprised by his own words. Maya stared at him, her heart hammering. How do you know about my father? How do you know about? You've been watching more than I realized. I told you. I protect what's mine. I'm not yours. You're owed a debt. That makes you mine to protect. That's not how debts work. It's how I work. Minjae stepped closer, and Maya suddenly realized how big he was. How the controlled power in his frame could be terrifying or something else entirely. You want honesty, Miss Chin? Here it is. I've spent 2 years watching you through car windows, learning your schedule, memorizing the way you move. I've kept my distance because that's what you do with beautiful things. You don't touch them, you don't risk breaking them, you just watch. His voice dropped lower, rougher. But now you know who I am. Now Park Jin-woo has made his move. Now the invisible line between your world and mine is gone. So I'm asking you, Maya-chan, what do you want me to do? Disappear back into my car? Or finally stop pretending I can stay away? Maya couldn't breathe, couldn't think. His words were simultaneously a confession and a threat, an offer and a warning. I don't know, she whispered. Then let me make it simple. Minjae pulled a contract from his desk drawer. I'm buying your building. The restaurant below, the apartments above, your shop. All of it. Market price plus 30%. You'll have permanent free lease, and your father's medical bills will be covered by my company's charitable foundation. You can't just. I can. I already have. The papers are drawn up. Sign them and you're safe. Protected. Free to create without fear. Free in a cage you're building. Maya's hands shook with fury. This is exactly what Soo-jin ran from. You wrapping your control in kindness and calling it protection. Something in his expression cracked. You're right. You're absolutely right, and He turned away, his control fracturing further. I don't know how else to care for people. I don't know how to protect without controlling. I don't know how to want something without taking it. The raw honesty in his voice stopped Maya's anger cold. Then learn, she said quietly. Or stay in your car. Because I won't be another thing you own, Kong Minjae. No matter how pretty the cage. She walked toward the elevator, half expecting him to stop her. But he didn't. He just stood by his windows, silhouetted against the city he controlled, and let her go. The sedan drove her home in silence. But when she checked her bank account the next morning, there was a deposit. Not 500,000 won. Not protection money. 5 million won. With a note. For the Phoenix Commission. I'm told you're worth far more, but it's a start. Kamjae. Maya stared at her phone screen, her heart a battlefield of anger and something she refused to name. The ghost was becoming real, and she didn't know if that terrified her or thrilled her more. Jin-woo called 3 days later. The Phoenix is beautiful, he said, his voice warm through the phone. My SSI, you've outdone yourself. The gallery opening is tomorrow night. You'll come, won't you? As my honored guest. Maya hesitated, the phone pressed to her ear. She'd thrown herself into the commission after her confrontation with Minjae, working through the nights, pouring all her confusion and anger and unnamed feelings into silver. The result was possibly her best work. A phoenix rising from flames that seemed to actually move in the light, each feather a separate piece of art. I don't know if that's a good idea, she said carefully. Because of Kong? Jin-woo's tone shifted, became more serious. My SSI, you can't let him control your life. You're an artist. Your work deserves to be seen. You deserve to be seen. The words echoed Minjae's from the penthouse. You deserve to be seen properly. Why did these men keep telling her what she deserved? As if invisibility had been forced on her rather than chosen for survival. But maybe that was the point. Maybe survival wasn't the same as living. What time? Maya asked. 7. I'll send a car. I'll take a taxi. Jin-woo laughed. Independent. I like that. I'll see you tomorrow, my SSI. Wear something beautiful. You're going to be the star of the evening. After he hung up, Maya stood in her shop, surrounded by silver and ghosts. She walked to the back room, to the wardrobe that still held her mother's clothes. Most were traditional, handbox for holidays and ceremonies. But in the back, wrapped in tissue paper, was a dress. Red silk. Her mother had worn it to her 25th anniversary dinner with Maya's father. Maya remembered that night, her mother's laughter, her father's rare joy, both of them dancing in the living room to old Chinese songs. A glimpse of who they'd been before time and hardship wore them down. Maya pulled the dress out. It would fit. She and her mother had been the same size. "Is that Ma's dress?" Her father's voice made her turn. He stood in the doorway, awake for once, his eyes clear. "The gallery opening," Maya explained. "I finished a commission. I thought you should wear it." Her father's smile was sad and proud simultaneously. "She'd want you to. She always said that dress was for celebrations." He touched the silk with gentle fingers. "Go live a little, Maya. Your mother would be furious if she knew you'd buried yourself in here with me." "Appa, I'm dying, daughter. We both know it. But you're not. So go. Dance. Laugh. Let someone see you in that red dress. That's what your mother would want." Maya hugged him, careful of his fragile frame, and let herself cry against his shoulder for just a moment. The next evening, Maya stood before her mirror, barely recognizing herself. The red dress fit perfectly, hugging her curves before flowing to just above her knees. She'd left her hair down. Usually she kept it in a practical bun, and applied makeup with a shaking hand. She looked like someone else. Someone bold. Someone visible. The taxi ride to the gallery passed in a blur of nerves and second thoughts. She almost turned back 3 times. But her father's words echoed. "Go live a little." The gallery was in Gangnam's art district, all white walls and track lighting, and the kind of minimalist aesthetic that screamed money. Maya felt immediately out of place among the designer suits and couture dresses, the champagne glasses and careful laughter of Seoul's elite. Then Jin-woo saw her. "Maya Sasai." He crossed the room with purpose, his eyes lighting up with genuine admiration. "You're stunning. That dress, it's perfect." He offered his arm and she took it, letting him guide her through the crowd. People turned to look. At her work, she told herself, displayed on a pedestal under a spotlight. The phoenix caught the light and threw it back in patterns that made the metal seem alive. "It's extraordinary," a woman in pearls said. "Who's the artist?" "Maya Chun," Jin-woo said proudly, his hand resting on the small of Maya's back. "A true talent we're lucky to have in Seoul." More people gathered, asked questions, admired her technique. One man offered to commission an entire set for his daughter's wedding. Another asked if she had gallery representation. For the first time in 3 years, Maya felt the ice around her heart beginning to crack. This was what her mother had dreamed for her. This was art as celebration, not just survival. "Maybe I can be more than invisible," she whispered. "You were never invisible," Jin-woo said warmly. "You just needed the right spotlight." Then the temperature in the room dropped by 10 degrees. The crowd parted like water, and Maya knew with absolute certainty, who had entered before she even turned around. Kang Min-jae stood in the gallery entrance, commanding every eye without saying a word. He wore a black Tom Ford suit that probably cost more than her shop's yearly revenue, tailored to emphasize the powerful lines of his body. His hair was perfect. His expression was ice. But his eyes were fire. They locked on Maya, then dropped to Jin-woo's hand on her waist. And something in Min-jae's face shifted from cold control to raw, barely leashed violence. Maya had seen photographs of wolves before they attacked. They wore that same expression. The crowd sensed it too. Conversations died. People stepped back, creating a clearing between the entrance and where Maya stood with Jin-woo. Min-jae crossed the gallery floor with deliberate steps, each one a countdown to detonation. "Maya Sasai," he said, his voice deadly calm. "We need to talk." "The lady is with me tonight," Jin-woo interjected smoothly, though Maya felt his hand tighten possessively on her waist. Min-jae's gaze swung to Jin-woo like a weapon. "The lady is under my personal protection. Has been for 3 years. The gallery went completely silent. Everyone in Seoul knew what that phrase meant. Personal protection. It was a claim. A declaration of ownership in the only language that mattered in this world. Maya's face burned with humiliation. Being claimed like property, in public, in front of Seoul's elite who would gossip about this for weeks. "I'm not anyone's property," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "Excuse me." She pulled away from Jin-woo and strode toward the exit, dignity held together by sheer will. Both men moved to follow, but she held up a hand. "Don't. Either of you." But they followed anyway, because men like them never learned when to stop. The alley behind the gallery was narrow, lined with dumpsters and the detritus of expensive restaurants. Maya's heels clicked against wet pavement, the first drops of rain beginning to fall. Seoul's spring storms came fast and brutal. Maya, wait, Jinwoo's voice. You had no right. Min Jae's voice louder, sharper. She whirled on them both. Neither of you have any right. I'm not a chess piece in whatever game you're playing. I know exactly that. Min Jae pulled out his phone, showed her a screen. Photographs of Jinwoo meeting with known gang members. Financial records. Police reports. He's been grooming you for weeks. Building trust. And tonight, his jaw clenched so hard Maya could see the muscle jump. Tonight he puts you on display, gets you seen by the right people, makes you valuable. Then he uses that value against me. Against you. Maya's voice rose. You think everything is about you? Maybe he just liked my work. Maybe someone actually sees me as more than a debt or a liability or a... He sees you as bait, Min Jae interrupted, his voice dropping to something dangerous. I saw him recording our conversation earlier. In the gallery. When I walked in. He's been recording everything, Maya. Building a case that I'm compromised. Emotional. Weak. Jinwoo's charming facade finally cracked. And aren't you? He asked softly. Compromised? 3 years you've watched this woman. 3 years you've paid tribute like some lovesick fool. The Kong boss, brought low by a jeweler's daughter. He pulled out his phone, pressed play. Min Jae's voice filled the alley. Touch her again, I'll remove your hands. That threat, recorded and time-stamped, Jinwoo continued. Along with witness statements of you abandoning important meetings to check on her shop. Financial records showing how much you've spent protecting one insignificant woman. The elders are very interested, Min Jae sighed. They're wondering if you're still fit to lead. Min Jae moved so fast Maya barely saw it. One moment he was 3 feet away. The next his hand was wrapped around Jinwoo's throat, slamming him against the alley wall. You used her, Min Jae growled. You manipulated her, made her trust you, all to get to me. I didn't have to manipulate much, Jinwoo choked out, smiling even as his face reddened. She wanted to be seen. You kept her invisible. I just gave her what you were too afraid to offer. Min Jae's fist drew back, and Maya screamed, Stop! He froze, his whole body trembling with barely controlled violence. Let him go, Maya said quietly. Please. For a long moment, Min Jae didn't move. Then his hand opened and Jinwoo slumped to the ground, coughing. This isn't over, Jinwoo rasped, looking at Maya. I know exactly who's been watching you. Use it. Use his obsession. You have more power than you think. He pulled himself up and limped away, disappearing into the rain that was now falling in earnest. Maya and Min Jae stood in the alley, the rain soaking them both, the space between them charged with everything unsaid. I wasn't using you, Maya said, her voice barely audible over the rain. I didn't know. About Jinwoo, about any of it. I just wanted. Her voice broke. I just wanted someone to see my art. To see me. Was that so wrong? No, Min Jae's voice was rough, stripped of its usual control. God, no. You deserve to be seen. You deserve everything. That's why I stayed away. Because someone like me, someone with blood on his hands and enemies at every corner. I destroy beautiful things. It's what I do. Then why are you here? Maya wrapped her arms around herself, shivering in the wet silk dress. If staying away is safer, why did you come tonight? He stepped closer, rain streaming down his face, his perfect hair finally disheveled, his expensive suit ruined. Because I saw you through that window, he said hoarsely. In that red dress. Smiling. Laughing. And Jinwoo's hand was on your waist. And I. He stopped, seemed to be fighting some internal battle. I've spent 3 years watching you through car windows. 3 years of discipline and distance, and telling myself it was for your protection. But seeing another man touch you, seeing you smile at him the way you never smiled at me. I didn't know you existed, Maya whispered. I know. That was the point. Stay invisible, stay safe. But then he saw you, and I couldn't. Min Jae's hands clenched into fists at his sides. I can't be invisible anymore. I can't watch from cars while other men make you laugh. I can't pretend I don't. He didn't finish. Didn't need to. The words hung between them, more terrifying than any threat. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. She should run. Should go back to her shop, her father, her safe invisible life. Should put distance between herself and this man who was violence and control wrapped in expensive suits. But she'd spent 3 years running from everything. 3 years of survival mode. 3 years of being invisible. And she was so tired of hiding. What do you want from me? She asked. Min Jae's eyes met hers, and for the first time, She saw past the boss, past the control, to the man underneath. Lonely, desperate, barely holding together. I want you to stop looking at other men, he said roughly. I want you to stop smiling at them. I want you to see me the way I've been seeing you for 3 years. I want. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. I want things I have no right to want. The rain fell harder. Maya was shaking, from cold or adrenaline or the weight of his confession, she didn't know. I don't know if I can do this, she said honestly. Your world, the violence, the control. I've spent my whole life trying not to be owned. I know. He took another step closer. Close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. Close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. I know, and you should run. You should go back inside, take Jinwoo's commission money, build your career far away from me. That's what a smart woman would do. Then what does it say about me, Maya whispered, that I'm still standing here? Something in Min-jae's expression shattered. All that careful control, 3 years of discipline, breaking like glass. It says you're either very brave or very foolish, he murmured. And I can't decide which terrifies me more. His hand lifted slowly, giving her time to step back, to refuse. But Maya stood frozen as his fingers traced the curve of her jaw, tilted her face up to his. Tell me to leave, he said, his thumb brushing across her rain-wet lips. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me Jinwoo was right, and I'm just a ghost who watched too long. Maya knew she should. Knew this was the moment to choose safety over danger, invisibility over being seen by eyes that burned. But her mother's dress clung to her like courage, and her father's words echoed. Go live a little. I can't tell you that, she whispered. Min-jae's control snapped. He kissed her like a man starving, his mouth claiming hers with 3 years of repressed hunger. One hand cradled her face with unexpected gentleness while the other wrapped around her waist, pulling her flush against him. The kiss was desperate, consuming, tasting of rain and need and promises neither of them should make.